From the Fans Talk Wrestling family at fanstalkwrestling.com and in collaboration with TNAMecca.com, this is Fans Talk TNA, a weekly conversation about what's going on in the world of TNA and Impact Wrestling. After this episode is over, you can head on over to TNAMecca.com for more exclusive TNA conversations. This is episode 11, was recorded live on January 6, 2014 on FTWLive.com. My name is Garvin, and I'm once again joined by Nick. Say hello, Nick.
Hello there.
Now, we are both from Fans Talk Wrestling, so you can check out fanstalkwrestling.com for more about us and the other things that we do. On this episode, we're going to preview episode 1 of Destination Impact. That's the first Impact Wrestling on Destination America, which will air today, a little later on today, of course. Plus, we're going to crown a new Fans Talk TNA Champion. Really cool stuff. So let's go ahead and get started. Little general discussion before we really get into the Destination Impact talk. The first is Dixie Carter. Basically, she's been making the podcast rounds, making the interview rounds with some newspapers, and came out this week saying that one of the things that they're going to continue to do is they're going to continue to do pay-per-views. So not only the one night only pay-per-views, but also the pay-per-view-esque events, the free pay-per-views on Destination America. So that's gonna start. I think that they're taping this Friday, Lockdown 2015. So, it's gonna be a free pay-per-view that's gonna be available on Destination America. So overall, are you surprised, Nick, that they're gonna continue doing, the one night only pay-per-views on top of like these pay-per-view style events on free TV?
Not particularly. The one night onlys definitely have their place. They're kind of outside of canon as far as the storylines go, and they're a lot cheaper than your average pay-per-view. So I think it's worth the money to throw down at one of those. I don't like the label free pay-per-view.
Right.
Just because of the inherent oxymoron there.
Yeah.
I think NXT hit on a good formula with just calling it special events. But aside from that, I think it makes sense, at least with something like Lockdown. It's a gimmick pay-per-view, or it's a gimmick event. Things like that, if you're going to go with just a few actual pay-per-views a year, Lockdown might not be the best one to keep around. So I'm glad they kind of relegate it to special event status. As far as the actual pay-per-views are attaining, I imagine it's just going to be Slammiversary and Bound for Glory, given that those are the two biggest shows.
Yeah, for sure.
I wouldn't mind seeing a third or fourth one added in, like maybe if they wanted to bring in or bring back, I don't know, maybe Sacrifice or something else non-gimmicky. But yeah, as far as I can see right now, this formula works for me.
Yeah, I guess I don't know. I'm kind of torn. I don't know much about the one night only pay-per-views as far as what they bring to TNA, because I honestly have never watched a single one, just because I know has nothing to do with the general story that they're telling week by week. So because of that, like, it's not as important to me. So yeah, I'm really curious if that is bringing them enough revenue to suggest that they should continue to do it. But, this leaving the door open that they might also be putting on like a proper traditional Sunday pay-per-view. I think it's nice, especially like you said, if they keep it, your Slammiversary, your Bound for Glory, maybe bring a third or fourth in there, but, keeping those as like rarities, making them feel a little bit more special, I think is still a nice touch. So, but yeah, like we said, Lockdown 2015. It's gonna be taped this Friday. No suggested release date as far as when we're gonna actually see it. I'm gonna be avoiding spoilers like normal. But yeah, it should be released probably by the end of January, maybe early or mid February. But that's your cool event, in that like everything is inside of a cage or inside of a cell of some sort. So a lot of cool stuff always happens every single year. Moving on from that, lots of signings, or signings, that have taken place. We've got Angle, Anderson, Abyss, Eric Young, EC3, Madison Rayne, the Wolves, and Jesse Goddard. They've all re-signed with the company. No real suggestion on if that's like a short-term deal or if it's a long-term deal. But overall, out of those names, who are you most excited about?
I'm really glad they're keeping around the Wolves. Contrary to the rumors that have been floating around on the internet.
For sure.
I'm also glad Eric Young's sticking around. EC3 definitely. Jesse Goddard's, personally, I'm glad to see him stick around, despite the fact that you could say he hasn't really gotten his due yet, despite the work he's put in. So I'm glad about most of these names. Madison Rayne, I could take or leave. Same with Abyss. Anderson's been putting in decent work, and yeah, there's definitely value in keeping a name like Angle around. But yeah, overall, I think all these signings can amount to a good thing for TNA.
Yeah, I really wish we knew like actual contract situations as far as like when they're up or how long these deals are in place. You know, with normal sports, we know this information like right away, and there's an obvious like, you know, real storyline about how the company is trying to re-sign this talent, and I think that would add a nice touch if that type of information was made public. I'm not sure why wrestling doesn't do that.
Yeah, it is interesting. I would think some of the silence on that aspect would be the fact that typically when TNA has released those sorts of details, at least as far as the contract length, it's 1 or 2 years.
Right.
And not being able to sign a long-term deal, like a 5-year deal or 7-year deal, it would start talk about, oh, TNA's going under, they can't sign long-term deals. And,
well, that's going to happen no matter what.
Yeah, I mean, nobody needs more of that.
Yeah.
So I could see the attractiveness in keeping that silent. Yeah. But I would imagine, just because of the pattern set, that it's maybe a 2-year deal.
Yeah, overall, I think the Wolves is a great signing just because of how much they've dedicated as far as time and energy to these guys. It's nice to see that that's paid off, and they're gonna continue it moving forward. Angle, I don't think was that much of a surprise. Eric Young for me was a surprise, just because just looking at his recent like the last 2 years where he's not on TV a whole lot outside of him holding the title. That was a pretty big deal. But outside of that, like, he was doing TV shows, and it was almost as if they were positioning him, or he was positioning himself for life after wrestling. So I was kind of surprised to hear that. But it's good. It's a good deal for sure. All right. So, and that leads us to Destination Impact, hashtag Destination Impact, or yeah, I think that's what it is.
Sounds about right.
Basically the first episode of TNA on Destination America. It's again, it's going to be a 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. marathon all day of like best ofs and highlight packages, and just basically introducing the Destination America audience to TNA. Should be a really awesome event. But your main event for this week is Bobby Roode versus Bobby Lashley. The third match, the rubber match, if you will. Overall predictions. Do you see Roode retaining, or do you see this going back to Lashley?
I would imagine Roode would retain. I don't know if this would necessarily spell the end of Roode versus Lashley. Maybe a break as Roode entertains other challengers. If Roode retains, that would leave an opening for MVP to insert himself, as TNA's been hinting at, and MVP's certainly been angling for with his recent Rampage. So, yeah, I definitely think Roode will retain.
Feeling the same way. It's going to be a great match regardless, but yeah, I feel the same way. I think Roode will retain. That seems to be the good story, the good feel-good story from the end of last year to the beginning of this year. I think that's definitely what they should lead with. Nothing else has really been announced about Impact, which is kind of odd. You would think that TNA would dedicate a little bit more time building this up outside of, hey, this is our first show back, our first show in 2015. So yeah, no other matches have been announced. The only other thing is that there's a quote unquote major announcement planned by Kurt Angle. No idea what that could even involve. I'm just thinking, like, I've been thinking about this for the last couple of days ever since it's been announced. I'm having a hard time trying to predict what this announcement could even be about, because it's not about the signings. It's not about the new TV deal. It's not about, Rude versus Lashley 3. Any ideas from you on what this could be?
I have been hearing a lot of speculation about TNA making a new signing, like not a re-signing, an actual new talent coming to the company. And I've seen the name thrown around that maybe this actually would be when TNA signs Alberto Del Rio to a contract.
Yeah.
Or excuse me, Alberto El Patron. The timing would be about right. Alberto's been doing a lot of shows, some shows with ROH recently, and they do operate up in the Northeast mainly. So it's not that far outside the realm of possibility that he would be making an appearance in TNA.
Yeah, and he definitely said he was going to join two companies with two U.S. television deals, and I think a lot of us were assuming it was going to be Lucha Underground as the one. And just because it would be a short schedule, you can, I think, I don't remember what their taping is, but I think it's like, I think they tape for 2-3 weeks and then that's their season, but then the other one that really made sense, was TNA. Now, I know he signed with ROH, so, and they sort of have a U.S. television deal, if you, technically speaking, but no one, you and I, we can't watch it. A lot of people we talk to cannot watch it unless we're, streaming it from online or whatever. So,
yeah, it's saying U.S. TV deal is pretty vague when you think about ROH. Technically, can be viewed nationwide, but it's like a cell phone company where they do the coverage maps, where the coverage is actually a lot sparser than you would think just from the term U.S. TV deal.
Yeah.
So. Yeah, it's hard to judge whether or not ROH was that second company or if he was actually talking about TNA the whole time.
Yeah, and the live chat is reminding us, once again, you can listen to Fans Talk TNA live on ftwlive.com moving forward. ROHwrestling.com, yeah, all the videos are available there as far as the weekly shows. It's on a delayed schedule, I think. But yeah, I mean, it is attainable, but it's not the television deal that you would expect. You would expect him to go to the other top company in the U.S., and that's TNA. So yeah, that is a good name. But there's some other names that we've heard. I guess we're just going to find out. But a lot of the names that I have been hearing do excite me, like the Young Bucks. That was another name brought up. I think that was going around Reddit shortly after the Wrestle Kingdom, but I think that would be a cool pickup. So yeah, I don't know, but we'll see. Definitely totally excited about the first Impact of 2015. It feels like it's been forever since we've seen TNA, so totally looking forward to it. But right now, before we close out, we're gonna bring something to the show that obviously, this is episode 11, so we really haven't done this here. We used to do this on the main FTW podcast, and that was at the time we called it the FTW backed TNA World Heavyweight Champion. We're going to rename that. It's the Fans Talk TNA Champion, and we're going to crown a new one shortly in just a few minutes. Nick and I really haven't gone back and forth about this, so this should be interesting what we'd end up deciding. But the rules are pretty simple, but it's all very high stakes. The title will be defended every time the champion is in a match on Impact. We will include pay-per-views if TNA decides to retain those, which it does sound like they're going to. It's not going to be one night only, just because we don't watch it. But like stuff like Lockdown or Slammiversary and Bound for Glory and that sort of thing, as well as the other TV shows that TNA is going to be having on Destination America, if those prove to be worth watching, because, it's still kind of up in the air. We're excited, but we're kind of skeptical on how they're going to be pulling off these new shows. So we'll see. But anyway, so that's when the title will be defended. The title can change hands via disqualification and countout. And the title can even change hands in a tag team match without the champion being pinned. So the only caveat here is that if there isn't a single winner, like a tag team countout or a disqualification, or in the case of a double DQ or a double countout or something like that, then obviously the champion will retain. So, during last weekend's chat on TNAMecca.com, we asked you guys who you would crown as champion if it were up to you. So, some suggestions. We had Austin Aries, Bobby Lashley, Samoa Joe, Rude, MVP, EC3, James Storm, Mr. Anderson. We also asked on Reddit, the subreddit TNA. Some names there that were kind of surprising were Eric Young, Abyss, Gunner, and Jeff Hardy. So, overall, do you like any of these names, Nick? Let's make our decision.
I do like a few of them. Aries, definitely. Bobby Roode, obviously. I could see a scenario where Storm becomes champion as leader of the Revolution. I would not say no to Eric Young or Samoa Joe when he gets healthy. Gunner,
yeah. Okay, cool. We're on the same page there. All right.
Yeah, most of these names, I could see a scenario where it's feasible. The one I would probably choose first, aside from Rude, would probably be MVP.
Oh,
just given where the storyline is going there.
Yeah, MVP is definitely a good name. I like that. I like Lashley getting the title back. Obviously, we want to see Aries and Samoa Joe do well. EC3 is the champion of the future, but like we said in the chat, like we're saying right now, who would you crown as champion if it was up to you? Bobby Roode is stripped. What do you do?
Yeah, if Roode is stripped of the title, I think MVP would be the first to get his hands on it.
Okay, that's not what I was expecting from you. For me, I'm satisfied with Roode. I would give the title back to Roode.
Okay, I thought when you said stripped of it, I thought that meant he would be out of contention.
No, dude, you're in charge, man. It's weird. When we first did this, and it was about a year ago, FTW 163. I don't know what date that was, but we did this because we were mostly unhappy with the direction that TNA and WWE were going at the time. So at that time, we crowned AJ Styles. This was before he had the title. I think this was before he had the title. So before he left and all that stuff. So, but right now, I'm not feeling the same way. I'm actually very happy with the direction TNA has gone with the World Heavyweight title.
Yeah, I'm certainly happy with it. It's just if I had to choose somebody that wasn't already holding it, MVP would be my next choice.
All right. So what's our decision? Are we gonna keep it on Rude?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So the first Fans Talk TNA champion is going to be Bobby Roode. So obviously, it's going to fit really well with the current storyline that TNA is doing. But obviously, there's the new rules that we're going to be placing on, which is, again, he can lose it via DQ or via countout. He can lose it in a tag team match, even if he's not pinned. So obviously, very, very high stakes with this. We're going to be tracking it each and every week moving forward, and we'll see where it lands when this is all said and done. All right, final thoughts.
Nothing here. I'm just excited to see what's coming up next with TNA.
Yeah, same here. Impact is today. This is the first Impact that we're going to be able to watch together. So, TNAMecca.com, you can be there for the live chat. I'm assuming we're going to be doing a live chat tonight. There's also the post-Impact chat that TNAMecca.com always does. Should also note that starting next week, while TNA moves Impact Wrestling to Fridays, we're going to move ourselves to Thursdays. So you're going to be able to listen to us Thursday starting pretty much in the morning, midnight. And yeah, like I said before, we are now recording live on FTWLive.com. You can check the schedule on FTWLive.com as well as FansTalkWrestling.com. I think right now we're going to continue doing it on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. Eastern, but we'll find out. We'll find out where that goes. But that's it. That's the show. We'll be reading and responding to your comments all day on TNAMecca.com. So let's continue the conversation over there. You can also check out FansTalkWrestling.com for more information about us and how to get involved in the future. For Nick, this is Garvin saying goodbye. We'll see you again next Thursday. See you guys.